It was more than a gang, it was a murder-for-hire organization called the Royal Family.
From the late 50s to the late 60s, the black population of Chicago swelled, and black social groups quickly morphed into fighting gangs as their new white neighbors attacked them for crossing into the wrong neighborhood, or worse, moving into the wrong neighborhood.
I've been in many demonstrations all across the South, but I can say that I have never seen, even in Mississippi and Alabama, mobs as hostile and as hate-filled as I've seen in Chicago.
Gangs are not unique to blacks as an ethnic group. A glance back over Chicago's history reveals some very bloody rivalries between gangs of Irish, Italian, Jewish, and Polish origin, to name a few. For the most part, those groups have won their fight to join the established order. But also, some of those early gangs grew up into an adult underworld. Question now is, which way will today's black gangs go?
If not, it's going to be a lot of innocent peoples out here getting hurt. Because the way it is now, brothers saying to me, well, Jeff, these people's talking about they're going to us. Well, what we going to do? We ain't going to stand back and let these old people kill us. It ain't going to be no killing without killing.
Interesting fact, the last person to be executed for an Italian mafia-ordered murder was just in 2022 in Arizona, and he was a black Chicago organization member from way back in the 70s.
Murray Hooper was convicted of murdering 2 people in the 80s and is now set to die by lethal injection.
He was a founding member of an extremely dangerous small group of guys called the Royal Family, who helped lay the groundwork for the new breed / black gangsters. Not famous around the country, but well known in the gangster city. The other black mob that laid the groundwork for the modern new breeds was the Goon Squad, under an old-timer called Booney Black, who described himself as a debt collector more than a gang leader. He said his specialty was heating up butcher knives on the stove while he discussed overdue payments, or just as likely, extortion with the person he was visiting. Who was he collecting debts for? Very often, the outfit, a.k.a. the Guineas, a.k.a. the Chicago mob.
You found a couple of Ku Klux Klans, in police force. It's the same night when the 2 police got killed.
1970, the situation in Chicago is tense. 3 Chicago cops have been unalived by snipers in a month, 7 taken out the year before. Dozens more have been sniped there, hit with bottles and bricks, mostly in several of the all-black public housing projects that the poor people are being herded into as the black middle class moves into the mainstream. The Black Keystone Nation are making the national news for their political power plays and lead the terror.
And they'll go in one building and they'll take the teenagers, all the boys and anything, and they'll draft them into this game whether they want to join or not.
The thing is that we ain't got no control over our community. If it ain't the gangs, it's the police.
The gangs have gotten too powerful, and a major crackdown put many of the first generation of leaders and members in prison after this outburst.
This is the heart of Woodlawn on Chicago's South. In this sprawling black neighborhood, street gangs have developed into a powerful force.
1972, Stateville Prison, Illinois. A group of imprisoned gang members, vice lords, disciples, form a group called the Royal Family. They're all soon to be paroled back to the mean streets of the gangster city, and are planning to move as a criminal mob instead of a mere street gang. Murray Hooper, the guy executed in AZ in 2022 as a member, along with his co-defendant William Bracey, who passed away in an Arizona prison before he could be taken out by the state of Arizona. Hooper had been in prison back in the late 60s for manslaughtering his own wife, where he met Fat Bobby Cruz, a Chicago outfit associate who will become important later. Consider these stats from the Illinois maximum security prison at Menard in the mid-70s. 900 of the 1,400 inmates were white. Half of them were members of white supremacist gangs called the KKK, the Vikings, and the Young Nobles. And more than half of the white inmates were said to sport swastika tattoos with the open support of the administration. So the young gang members that formed the Royal Family had been moved from the treacherous streets to a hostile prison environment years before the formation of the People and Folks, and they also met Italians in there. Like I said, Fat Bobby Cruz, but more on him later. The royal family started hitting the streets at the very end of 71 and early 72. By this time, the civil rights era is finished. The promise of politics has been snatched from the street organizations by the federal government and Chicago Mayor Richard Daley, though he himself was a member of a street gang well into his 20s. The political element of Chicago gang life is extinguished. The royal families are ready for a different kind of action. Their first headline happened when several of them tied up the manager of a bar in a wealthy suburb and STABB'd them to unalive status. Strangely, even though one of them had worked at the bar briefly before robbing it, they didn't wear a mask or gloves, and they left 3 witnesses to the double homie. The royal family member who had worked there was clearly seen as a weak link, and this shows you how ruthless they were. After a wild car chase after a different armed robbery where the godfather of the royal family, Roger Cochise Collins, and another guy got caught, this guy Julius Davis, the one who had worked at Talio and recognized, got away, but not for long. Roger Cochise Collins sent out the word from the Cook County Jail to get rid of him, and he was found popped up 7 times. And then the 2 witnesses from another robbery were popped up. This is all why Cochise Collins was in jail. Voila. Hitman magic, no more cases, 5 people unalived, including one of their own and 2 witnesses for a few $1,000s in robbery receipts. Dangerous people on the mean streets of the big city. Chicago, especially in the royal family, fit the bill. When I was researching this, here's where I found something really interesting. The royal family story entered the public stage, at least in the media, at the same time as the most infamous white Chicago police violence of recent memory. John Burge was one of the people who investigated them. The city of Chicago ended up paying out over $100 million for stuff he did in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
It is not the first such accusation against Chicago police, but this time the accuser was 13 years old.
Ain't nothing I can do, man. Middle of my hand. What can I do?
I'm totally convinced that these things is happening. For me, these psychological marks are as strong and as powerful as having wounds and physical evidence, because they are very, very extremely difficult to fake.
The 90s, TORTURE to suspects. In fact, the only living former member of the royal family I know of is from the Altgate Gardens on the far south side. He served 30 years in prison, and he got part of a $5 million payout back in 2015 for what was done to him.
I know he did it numerous times. A couple times he brought me, he woke me up, lifted me up from my pants up low, get in, because I had passed all the way out. I thought I was dead. So he gonna kill me. But for some reason I was able to survive.
Anthony Holmes out of the Altgads, a.k.a. Satan, allegedly started his own gang called Satan's Angels, which he then brought into the Black Gangster Disciple Alliance circa 1970. He met Cochise Collins in prison, and he joined the royal family. Now, on December 20th, 71, his brother-in-law, Satan's brother-in-law, murked somebody in a bar on the south side. The bartender gave a statement to police. Then some royal family came in and gunned him down before he could testify. But the brother-in-law still got sent to prison because they had a statement and they read it into the record. Anthony Holmes, a.k.a. Satan, was enhanced interrogated by Burge, and after a rough time, he implicated Cochise Collins and 3 other royal family members, helping send them to prison for the first time and send himself for a long time. From the start, he told everybody what Burge had done to him, like electric shock and other stuff. Like I said, he got about some cut of $5 million, but he had to do 30 years. He was out of the game early.